The most controversial UFC card of 2026. We watched UFC London last Saturday, and it has everyone talking, and not exactly for the right reasons. So, what do I think about it? Let's talk. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is MMA 365, the greatest UFC news YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe, as 94% of you watching are not currently subscribed. So, if you're a regular watcher, or if you're a first time watcher and you enjoyed this video, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. It helps me out. Thank you. So, Movsar Evloev defeated Lerone Murphy on Saturday. I'll be honest, I thought that this was a draw, and I don't think I'm alone in that. I thought that Lerone Murphy won the first two rounds, and Movsar won the last three, although with the point deduction for the groin shot, I think that means it's a 47-47 draw. The majority of UFC media scorecards had this fight also as a draw. There were a couple that gave this fight to Murphy also by 48-46, and I but ultimately I'm not losing sleep over this because the implications of a draw here in a fight that's a pretty clear title eliminator, it's like what do you do if there's a draw? You have to give the title shot to someone else. And then at that point that opens up like John Silva, Jair Rodriguez. Like, who is supposed to fight Volkanovski if this fight is a draw? I don't know, but at this point, hopefully, it will be Movsar Evloev. I do think that Volkanovski would win that fight, regardless of who won. Um, and I know the judging is controversial, but I'm thinking about it this way. Uh, Movsar Evloev is certainly not in the UFC's good graces, and for Lerone Murphy, this is a hometown fight. It was in London. Would the UFC judges really rig a fight in favor of Movsar Evloev, the inactive, boring decision merchant, over Lerone Murphy in his hometown? I don't think so. I know that the Middle Eastern judges can be a little suspect for the same reasons, but I really don't think it's that deep. I think sometimes just when you have three judges compared to everyone else watching the card, then there can be some anomalies sometimes. But again, I'm not losing sleep over this because I thought Evloev did win the fight, and the only reason why he wouldn't was the foul, which I am glad that UFC judge or referees are taking points for fouls now. Um, Happened in the Cody Garbrandt fight, but I think that there's a difference between a groin shot and an eye poke. I think a groin shot can be very much accidental, where you're going for a kick and the oblique or the thigh, and the guy twists the wrong way, and suddenly you landed a groin shot, and that's a foul. I don't think that has as clear bad intentions as an eye poke, where sometimes guys are throwing punches with their fingers out or kind of just like straight up standing there like this. It's just like, well, yeah, that's kind of begging for an eye poke. That seems pretty obvious. Um, so yeah, I think point deduction should be more so for eye pokes and groin shots, but either way, if you do it twice, then take a point. I think that's completely fair. As for the co-main event, Luke Riley won this fight convincingly. I was busy this weekend, so I was watching this card kind of on and off. I thought Luke Riley was clearly the better fighter from what I saw, but co-main, Luke Riley co-main, I, I don't know, man. Um, Michael Page beat Sam Patterson, and I also only caught bits and pieces of this fight, but every single thing that from what I saw and from what my friends saw, boring. I do think, and I've thought this for a while, that Michael Page kind of gets a pass for being a low volume striker because of his emoting and his unique stance and kind of bouncing around with his arms low. But at this point, it's becoming pretty undeniable. I feel like the public opinion has turned against Michael Venom Page. Um, I don't necessarily think that's fair off of this fight alone, because Sam Patterson is a fellow Brit, and I think they were teammates at one point. So yeah, it'd be kind of hard to like you know this guy, kind of hard to hit him in the face repeatedly. Um, but questionable matchmaking leading up to this fight. I don't know why Michael Venom Page didn't get a step up in competition instead of a pretty huge step down. And ultimately, questionable matchmaking led to a very questionable fight. So you reap what you sow. Ilia Baranowski knocked out Austin Lane. What everyone, including myself, thought would happen is exactly what happened. I literally missed this at first because I looked away from my phone, and then by the time I looked back, saw Ilia Baranowski on top of the cage celebrating. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. I had to rewind a few times, and then yeah, Austin Lane folded. That's what Austin Lane's job is, to get knocked out or submitted by actual prospects in the previously the heavyweight division, now the light heavyweight division. But good for Ilia Baranowski. He has 2 fights in the UFC, 2 knockouts. I want to see what's next for him. I hope that he gets a pretty sizable step up in competition. I think he's deserved that. And this picture, I don't know why this is so blurry. I tried to replace it, but for some reason it's blurry, but you get the idea. Christian Leroy Duncan beat Roman Dolidze. Um, this fight I couldn't watch, but I heard it was boring, so I'm not exactly inclined to. And yeah, Roman Dolidze is kind of out of style in 2026. I think he should have been out of style a little before that, but I heard Christian Leroy Duncan didn't win this fight very convincingly, so I'm not exactly inclined to spend 15 minutes watching this. I mean, whatever, dude. Uh, Danny Silva knocked out Curtis Campbell. Campbell came out in the pink shorts, being like Sean O'Malley, but Danny Silva got the upset against the against the favorite, against the Brit, his home country. Good for Danny Silva. Um, Mason Jones and Axel Sola. This was the fight of the night, and I think it was righteous. This was a banger. I just went back and watched it for the first time because I was doing something when this fight was originally on, and yeah, these guys went to war. There's a there's a group of lightweights who I really like, who are pretty far from title contenders, but seemingly every fight they're in is just an absolute banger. There's Mason Jones, I think at this point is in that class. Chris Duncan is fighting Renato Moicano, but maybe he's graduating from that class, but he was in that class for a while. There's like Terrence McKinney, Nazim Sadikov, you know, like those guys. It's like you see them on the card, on like an undercard, you're like, ooh, I'll watch that. And Mason Jones, you've joined that status, at least in my eyes. And Axel Sola, he put up a really good fight too. I thought it was pretty clear that Mason Jones won, but Sola, he looked pretty good also, just very hittable. His offense was good, his grappling was good. He went to Dagestan before this, but yeah, Mason Jones did kind of land the bigger strikes, and Sola had sustained a lot more damage. So correct decision here, in my opinion. And as for the first 2 cards on the prelims, Daniel Wood beat Hossein Keita. This was a split decision, but I think it should have been unanimous. And hopefully at this point, Nathaniel Wood can get a shot at the rankings, but he deserved one before this fight. Um, though I do think Hossein Keita could be something in the UFC. Um, Obviously, guys from other promotions have been a little questionable as of late. Uh, Off cough, catchy mix, but I do think Hossein Keita could have a good future ahead of him. Hopefully, Nathaniel Wood gets a ranked opponent. I think he's deserved it. And last fight I want to talk about the opening up the prelims. Mario Pinto blobbed Felipe Franco. I couldn't watch this fight. I was eating dinner, but I heard this fight was boring. And again, I'm not exactly inclined to spend 15 minutes of my time watching a fight that I hear is boring. So it probably was boring. Um, I do think Mario Pinto could still be a contender in the heavyweight division, but this doesn't help my case. This doesn't help the Mario Pinto agenda. Agenda. Mario Pinto agenda. Um, but I didn't watch it, so therefore it doesn't count towards my pro Mario Pinto agenda because anything that I didn't watch didn't happen. I'm kidding. But I there was Brando Parachich won a fight in the early prelims. He finished Louis Sutherland, and I think we are actually looking at a pretty legit class of rising heavyweights, where you have Peter Petrino, Josh Hoggett, Stephen Asplund, Mario Pinto. Maybe Brando Parachich can be among them. I think the heavyweight division at this point is kind of a sleeper. Like there are several guys going around now who I think could all be ranked by the end of the year. Um, Maybe they do end up fighting each other, which makes that more complicated. But I like the state of the heavyweight division. I didn't think I would say that, but I think the heavyweight division's in a pretty good spot right now. So that'll conclude this video for now. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.